Welcome back. If you just joined us, our guest on this episode of Question Time is the Managing Director of the Bank of Agriculture, Professor Danbala Danju, and we've been looking at the federal government's intervention plan in addressing the challenge of food security in the country. Don't go away. You talked of the 2018 targets. This appears really laudable, but how feasible is its target of 2018 for sufficient domestic production of rice in the country?
At the moment, the rice revolution in Nigeria is being spearheaded by the Anchor program of the CBN. And the Bank of Agriculture, because the deposit money banks have declined to participate, we took it upon ourselves to actually ensure the full implementation. We are the special purpose vehicle for the achievement of the federal government's objective in terms of achievement of rice self-sufficiency. We have initially, the pilot program was started in Kebbi about a year ago, and since then there are now about 23 states participating or intending to participate in the Anchor program with respect to rice. And like I've quoted before, we have disbursed over 20.3 billion naira in that direction. We supported more than 113,079 farmers in that area.
But do you agree with me that if we are to enhance our foreign exchange earnings and boost and develop rice production to that point of exporting, that the federal government needs to create the right technology?
Some of these things are already being provided. For example, when you go to Kebbi, the depreciation of the Naira exchange rate has made made Nigeria competitive in terms of our ability to export to other countries. A number of neighboring countries are coming to Nigeria to buy rice. And secondly, you must look at also the inputs in terms of seeds, in terms of extension support, in terms of fertilizer, in terms of pesticide. All of these inputs need to be provided so that the cost of producing rice in Nigeria will be substantially lower than our competitors. Now, these are being provided.
Recently, the federal government set up a 21-man committee for the recapitalization and restructuring of the Bank of Agriculture. So what structure have been put in place to ensure this recapitalization, and how much is the target for this recapitalization?
Well, it's a two-tier structure. There is the steering committee made up of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Audu Obe, as well as the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Budget and Planning, Ministry of Justice, Bureau of Public Enterprises, and my humble self as part of the steering committee members. And then you have the project delivery committee made up of 9, if you like, the foot soldiers who are to support the steering committee in the efforts to restructure and recapitalize the bank.
Now that you've raised the issue of the shareholders, now there have been cases where the shareholders have complained that the erosion of shareholders' funds in the Bank of Agriculture. What are you doing to curb this recurrence?
One issue is constant engagement and briefings of the shareholders. They need to be constantly engaged. And secondly, there is the biannual sessions between the central bank and development finance institutions. We're also trying to bring back a new, if you like, more regular discussions that allow the bank to showcase its activities in form of annual meetings that will bring out some of the challenges as well as opportunities. But all in all, what we're trying to do is to engage in the institutional restructuring of the bank. Through the help of the Bank of African Development Bank, we have a middle-income country grant. This grant is supposed to provide for the institutional restructuring of the bank, to create the right structures that will be able to husband resources to use them for the development of agriculture.
Now, there have also been cases where farmers have been reluctant or have not been able to pay back their loans. So what are you doing to stop this unpleasant cycle?
First of all, there are two measures. There are immediate measures. In line with the directives of the central bank, we have been advertising in both print and electronic media, calling on farmers to come and settle their indebtedness with us. Secondly, we've also tried to change the way in which we disburse to farmers. That is to say, by embarking on a kind of disbursement in kind rather than in cash, and trying to stagger the disbursement. But also we want to do close monitoring. We wouldn't like to now be following our farmers more closely so that it is not just one bullet disbursement, but there will be some kind of close monitoring so that farmers that are having difficulties, before we allow them to reach the point of no return, I mean the point at which we have difficulties with them. Another issue, of course, is the use of technology. We are in discussion with an American firm of how we can use technology to closely monitor our farmers. So we are very aggressive, and some state governments, like Kaduna State, for example, have joined us, that we have appointed receiver managers to overtake the asset of those that are in default. So we have been very aggressive in that direction, and I think the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is also helping us in direction. But I must emphasize, I think it's a very important question that I hope in the restructured bank we need to address. There is the mindset of most farmers that loans from the Bank of Agriculture are considered to be like a legacy, like part of the national cake. That kind of attitude is a serious one. I think it must be combated seriously. One approach would be to try to jail those farmers who take money and refuse to pay, for example.
Now, how did we clear this disturbing trend of agricultural stakeholders complaining of a re-emergence of a cabal ready to feed off from the system through a Moroccan partnership of fertilizer importation totaling about 46 billion naira? Are you in the know of this?
I only saw in the newspapers that there is a partnership that seeks to bring down the prices of fertilizer to about 5,000 naira per bag. Beyond this, I don't have that information. I cannot comment on something like that. I am more of a technocrat. I'm coming from the African Development Bank after a prolonged absence to help my country.
But it's on record that the Central Bank of Nigeria and the National Sovereign Authority, National Sovereign Investment Authority, are in the know of this. Have you discussed with the Central Bank Governor on this issue?
They are not. It's not part of my remit. I don't have information on this, so I cannot comment on that.
Before we wind down on this conversation, could you tell us about the Development Bank of Nigeria? How is this aiding the agricultural sector?
Wow. The Development Bank is an innovative idea that was mooted during the previous administration. I was then at the African Development Bank. I was privy to the earlier discussions. I think it's aimed at trying to address the problem of funding of development finance institutions in Nigeria. As an idea, the Development Bank is essentially to be a wholesale bank, and Bank of Agriculture, Bank of Industry, and others are to be retail bank. The Development Bank of Nigeria is supposed to mobilize resources both internally and externally. And then the other banks, like Bank of Agriculture, are supposed to borrow and to on-lend to others. This as a concept, I thought is a quite innovative one. But I do have my reservations. I mean to say, like all concepts, there are pros and cons about the Development Bank of Nigeria. If you ask me my honest opinion, probably I think instead of a centralized development bank, I think what we need is a decentralized regional development bank.
Professor Danbala Danju, Managing Director of the Bank of Agriculture, thank you so much for making our time to be part of this episode of Question Time.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And that's it on this episode of Question Time from Channels Television. You may also join in this conversation by sending us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Join us next week on another exciting episode of the program. Many thanks for watching. I'm Gbenga Ashiru. Bye for now.